I think that, you know, it's one of the most eclectic evolutions of design that I've ever done in a film, because I went to so many different places. I had to create a world of dwarfs where I dealt with visual effects a lot. I had two courts, a kind of hopeful early Snow White court and then the court of Queen Ravenna. I had two armies. I had mercenaries and badass fighting guys, and I had an amazing cast of principals. So it was quite a layered up, kind of complex little ball of design.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is fairest of them all?
You are the fairest, but there is another destined to surpass you.
I always start, you know, with the screenplay and sort of the mood of the film, how the director sees it, and then I go into researching the loosely kind of defined period of a film like this, which is sort of pre-Renaissance. And then I look at where that period's been interpreted through history. Different periods where people have embraced this sort of period and see their take on it and their kind of evolution with it. And then that sort of frees me up to kind of take my own spin on it. We did this cape. It was the first thing we actually made for Ravenna for the film, because it had to be ready for the digital process and they wanted plenty of time to make it work. So we made the cape actually before we made any of her clothes, and it sort of helped in a way to say, okay, this is Ravenna. She's a wicked queen. I think in the initial fitting with Charlize, when she put on the feather cape with the big collar, and she just kind of suddenly kind of stood in her very queenly way and owned that cape in a way that few people could. You could just see what she was going to do with it, and I think we felt it together where everyone got really excited. This is Ravenna's wedding gown she wears in the movie. The collar was an idea that we had to telegraph sort of a skeletal death thing without actually being bones. It's made out of parchment that's been cut, sort of origami styling, twisted, and then sewn with gold thread. One of the biggest challenges was A, the variety of costumes and coming up with many different ideas and things, and B, just the physical kind of aspect of it all happening with a great team and just running the day-to-day of it, which I had a lot of help with, but still as I'm designing and making costumes, we're shooting, so just keeping alive and keeping it all going during that process is hard on these kind of movies. This is Snow White's costume she wears for 80% of the movie. We were testing Kristen and we wanted to have a green-blue vibe like her eyes, so we used the pale blue underneath with the green over it. We chose red accents because it sort of harkens to the apple later in the story. And then I used the little metallic bits to sort of pop it a little bit, so when she ran in the woods and you got things like that in a dark environment, you could still see that she was there. For Kristen's costume, I had over 20 different versions of it. Some were manipulated in some ways for certain stunts. I had to leave some behind when they got wet because I had to hold on to them, so I had to have plenty of them to go through the movie. With Chris's costume, I had around 15 that I started with, and by the time you get done with the movie and you've wrapped the movie, maybe 10 of each have survived because the rest are totally beyond foul. They've been in mud, they've been in all these horrible things. With Chris Hemsworth's costumes, the first priority was really function. They had to work for him, they had to work with him doing a lot of hard work. When I develop these kind of costumes for a film, I develop them initially with a stuntman, so I can shortcut it the time spent with the actor. So by the time Chris came to work, I was able to plug in not everything about the weapons and stuff, but just the costume itself, that, you know, he could lift his arm, throw axes, do things like that in the costume, very important. When the extras come in for a scene, they come in at 4 or 5 in the morning to go through the hair, makeup, and wardrobe process. So I come in at the beginning of the day when they come in, so I can check the extras along with the hair and makeup people as they're done. So once we've kind of got their look on them, they're ready for set. And then the leads come in a little bit later, and I'm there as they go on camera as well. Once they're up and running, I go back to the workrooms where manufacturing's going on and oversee that, and then come back to the set kind of later in the day to make sure we're all good for the next day and everybody's good and it's all going well. So it's quite a busy day for me. One of the great things about the Blu-ray or DVD is there is a bonus feature on there all about the costumes, how they're created, the process of it, and a lot of details about the people and the things that go into making this a movie of this scale.